Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Unit 8 3D Geometry. We are jumping in with day one, recognizing and being able to identify the front, the side, and the top of 3D models. So the difference between 3D and 2D is that instead 2D is figures that are flat, three-dimensional are figures that you can hold, okay? And so because we're talking about three-dimensional figures, but we're not going to be having actual figures, a lot of them that we can hold, we're going to have to resort to actually talking about three-dimensional figures on a flat surface. So in other words, imagine taking this cube or this model and flatten it, right? So when we see three-dimensional figures, we're going to see them modeled on flat surfaces. So but we need to understand that even though it looks flat, it actually still has 3 dimensions, right? It is actually a figure that we can hold. So that's what we are going to be looking at today, recognizing that although it is on a flat surface, it actually does represent this figure that is something you can hold, has 3 dimensions, okay? So what you need to understand is when you are looking at it from a 2D viewpoint, all right, when we're looking at it from the front or from the left, the right side, or the top and the back, it does not show the depth on its own, okay? So when you're actually looking at a flat picture of a 3D model, it is not going to be able to show the depth, and we're going to see that here in just a moment. But that is kind of the main point that we need to understand for today, okay? So today we're thinking about three-dimensional figures, but we're seeing them represented as a 2D model, okay? So what I have done is I have constructed this, and if you're in class, we're going to actually do this together, but I have taken cubes and I have formed this figure. So here you go, all right? Here is the figure, okay? Now, what I want us to do is I first want us to go ahead and label each side of our three-dimensional figure. So when we have this figure, this is the front view, okay? This is the front view. This is the left side. This is my right side. And this view is the top view. Okay, this is the top view. Okay. And so all we're doing in today's lesson is we are being able to identify what a picture would look like if I am taking this figure and I'm looking at it from the front, or I'm looking at it from the sides, or from the top. Okay, so if I have this, again, this is a figure that I can hold, but I am looking at it from the front, okay? So now I am showing you this image from the front, okay? I'm only looking at it from the front. What does it look like? Well, I want you to draw a picture of what the front view would look like. It would look like really like an upside down T, right? So again, we had 3 cubes at the bottom, and then in the middle it was 3 high, okay? So we can only see that there is, that these are on the front. Even though there's cubes on the back, when we're looking at the model, we don't see the depth. We don't see behind it, okay? And so that is, again, this is a picture of what it would look like when you view it from the front, okay? Well, what about from the top, right? When I look down and I'm viewing this from the top, what does it look like? Okay, here's a picture of what it looks like from the top. Okay, and I want you to draw a picture of that. Well, from the top, it just looks like, and sorry, I'm not drawing this great, but it just looks like 3 cubes across the top and 3 cubes across the bottom. Even though there's these that are protruding out, that are coming out, when I'm just looking at it from the top, I don't see that. So that is the view of what it would look like, even though this is three-dimensional. And again, we know you need to understand that looking at it from the top, it would only look like is just 2 rows, okay? So now let's look at the right side view, okay? So again, I'm holding it. Now, this was the front, this was the top. Now I'm looking at it from the right side, okay? So what does this look like when I'm looking at it from the right side? Well, it just looks like I have 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2, okay? So it looks like an L, right? When I'm looking at it from the right side, it is 3, and then there's 2. So it looks like, even, again, I want you to keep in mind, even though, right, there are more, there's 3 back here, I can't see that when I'm looking at it from this side. So this is what the side view looks like. It just looks like this L, right? Now let's look at the left side view, okay? So the left side view, all right? The left side view, it looks like this, okay? So it looks like a backwards L. So I have my 1, 2 across, and then it goes up 1, 2, 3. Okay, so my left side view would be 2 across, and then 3 high. Okay, so that is my left side view. And then if I want to look at my back view, okay, my back view, again, this was the figure. Now I'm looking at the back view. The back view is now, looks like an upside down T, similar to the front view, right? 1, 2, 3, up 2, and that is my back view. Okay, so that is my back view, right? So that is, so again, hopefully what you see is this is kind of a 3, like it looks like more like the picture where you can see all of the dimensions. But if you're only looking at it from the sides or from the top, this is what it looks like. You can't tell the depth. Again, you can't tell how far back it is. And that was kind of the point that we made up there. Okay? So now, what we're gonna do for the next, so what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to look at an image and then determine what does the views look like, right? So for it, all the examples that we're going to do for the remainder of our time is we are going to look at, okay, given certain views, which shape would it look like, right? So what we're going to do here is we are going to, these are the different views, and we are going to match which 3-dimensional model corresponds to these views, okay? So the front view, so the front of it is going to look like an upside down L, okay? So I'm looking at which front view looks like an upside down L. Well, that one doesn't, that one doesn't, and that one does, okay? So before I just jump and say that one's it, I need to make sure it checks all the other ones. So if I'm looking down from the top, if I'm looking down at this figure, okay, if I'm looking down, what does it look like? Well, it looks like 3 just across. So if I'm looking down, this looks like 3 across, right? 1, 2, 3. Even though there's these ones underneath it, I can't see that when I'm looking down at it, right? So that checks that. Well, then let's look at the right side. If I'm looking at the right side, okay, if I have this and I'm looking at the right side of it, it looks like it's just 2, right? Well, is that true? Yes, I can't, so I wouldn't be able to see these back here, but if I'm looking at it from the right side, I would just be able to see these 2. And so this is the image that corresponds to those views, all right? So look, I'm gonna do one more. This should be pretty simple and straightforward, right? You might have to look at it a couple times to figure out, but all you're doing is just seeing which one matches, okay? So let's look at the next one, and then I'm going to let you do the remaining ones on your own. All right, so the top view, okay? So which top view has 4 across? So there's a top line with 4, there's a bottom line with 4. So we just need to make sure that, we are counting the blocks. So this one has 1, 2, 3 across. It doesn't have 4 across. So I know it's not that one. Again, if I look at this one has 1, 2, 3 across. Then it has 3 across here. That's not 4 across. So it can't be that one either. Okay, but let's make sure that it is this one. Okay, does this one have 4 across? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Again, if I'm looking down, even though this has a top row, I can't see that. I just see the 4 across. All right. Now, the right side, does it look like a backwards L? Well, this is the right side. I have 1, 2, and then 1 on top. So you hopefully see that that is the backwards L. And then if I was to, look at the left side, well, I got 2 along the bottom, and then I got 1 on the top, okay? And so even though this one's missing, if I was looking at this, I would see this one on top, okay? So it is indeed this last one, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to pause it, and I want you to attempt to do the next 4 problems on your own, okay? If you have any questions, make sure you raise your hand. If you're watching this, you can comment and ask a question there, and I'll be happy to explain anything. But I want you to do these on your own. Pause it, and then I will verify whether or not your answers are correct here in just a moment. Pause it. All right. Hey, hopefully you did those on your own because, again, if you're just getting the answers and you don't understand it, then you're not going to get this. But here are the correct answers. It should have been this middle one, this middle one, this left one, and this right one. If you have any questions, please make sure that you ask. We're going to do some additional practice. But in this lesson, we have learned how to identify the front, the side, and the top view of 3-dimensional models.